Lots of creativity from these trainers, and I know Stonecollection, that third place finish in Toronto is going to be fresh on his mind, probably wants to increase that placement just a little bit, and he has an advantage here compared to his Toronto self. He's on the winner's side, whereas in Toronto, I think he actually entered day 2 on the loser side and had to make a huge run.
And I have to point out one more stat. He was 9th place at the European International Championships in that limited meta. There it is right here, 2026 in London. He was able to get 9th place, a brand new meta. That really, for me, it's a great example of the ability of these trainers to just completely throw out all they know in terms of an open great league and master a new meta. And the trainers that succeed in that format, I have a ton of respect for. So he was 9th place in that, so he is an extremely talented trainer.
I think Pocket actually may have top cut UIC as well. So both of these trainers so flexible, so creative, so versatile as we get locked in for game number 1. This is a best of 5 winners finals.
And we got Corviknight into the Alolan Ninetales. We thought we might see that Pokemon. It's ABA Steel for Stonecollection, has that Shadow Scizor in the back and has the Guzzlord as well.
Interesting backline from Stonecollection, really maybe anticipating that he needs to try and RPS the Alolan Ninetales, but it's actually here in the lead against the Corviknight. I think we've seen this play out a couple of times now where the pacing to that third charge attack is just so close for these two Pokemon.
And the problem for OutOfPoket is if you match up the Jellicent into the Guzzlord in the back, that is going to be absolutely brutal. And remember, this is a best of 5, by the way. If we didn't mention that before, these trainers are going to be paying whoever gets the throw. Oh, wait, wow, that Scizor came in fast with a bullet punch damage. We'll talk about the series later.
That's right. I think the Alolan Ninetales just went from 40% to 5% in just a second as Stonecollection fires off a Night Slash on Empoleon. Gonna need another Night Slash to threaten the knockout, but he is a little bit ahead on energy.
Bullet punch is double super effective into Alolan Ninetales. I love that Stonecollection just keeps the Scizor in the back. If you land 2 bullet punches, you are gonna chunk an Alolan Ninetales. Here comes the Protect Shield from the Scizor. The Scizor is at the Night Slash, gonna try to take out this Empoleon, but OutOfPoket gives up a Protect Shield.
Empoleon not quite at a Hydro Cannon, but maybe Pocket is thinking he can leverage the rest of this Empoleon, maybe get to 2 more charge attacks this game. Here comes the first, it's the Hydro Cannon. Not going to land on the Scizor though, as Stonecollection decides to shield.
Another shield, there's only 1 shield remaining in this battle, and it's on the side of OutOfPoket. Does he give it up on this last Night Slash, or does he try to come in with the Jellicent? He gives it up, because it's going to be hard to come in with the Jellicent and Hex down. You'll take a Night Slash or a Trailblaze, so you have to get the Scizor out of here, but Stonecollection is free to swap.
That's right, and that would have been a really easy opportunity potentially for a catch, but Pocket anticipating, he doesn't want this Empoleon to get so low that it's a really obvious catch, so firing it off right there as Stonecollection brings back in the Corviknight, trying to send attack down, and OutOfPoket doesn't want that to happen, bringing in the Alolan Ninetales to fire off this Weather Ball.
But the problem is he needed this Weather Ball for the backline Pokemon. He doesn't know what the backline Pokemon is, but it's Guzzlord. He used it against the Corviknight. Now he doesn't have any energy for that Guzzlord, and everything is going to be resisted from his Jellicent. The Guzzlord resists all the Ghost type damage and all of the water damage as well.
I think Pocket, now seeing the Guzzlord, is probably realizing that this game is not going to go in his favor. Stonecollection kind of just had the read there, but like you said, actually Pocket has been somehow able to maintain some of the energy on Alolan Ninetales. Might have had a little bit of a chance.
That was his opportunity. He would need to land the Shadow Ball plus the Weather Ball, and then maybe even a Surf as well. No, maybe swapping it to the Empoleon just to try to mess around a little bit before the next game wasn't going to really help him that much in that scenario, as the Brutal Swing is going to be going on into this Jellicent, but this is a best of 5. It's not over for OutOfPoket. Yes, he lost this game pretty convincingly because of the backline call, but that's just 1 loss.
And I think Pocket is now seeing that Stonecollection isn't actually afraid to bring the Guzzlord, even though both of these trainers probably realize how good the Alolan Ninetales is for OutOfPoket. Pocket didn't know how willing Stonecollection would be to risk bringing the Dark Dragon type.
Yeah, he brought the ABA Steel. As you see, the double steal on the team from Stonecollection here. He brought the Corviknight in the lead, which is a very strong lead against OutOfPoket. You only really have to worry about the Moltres, and even in that lead scenario, if they Brave Bird or if they fly and you absorb it, sometimes you can still win the 0. So as a very smart lead from Stonecollection in that game number 1, and this time switching up the steal lead, it's going to be the Shadow Scizor into the Empoleon.
And this is definitely the answer for Scizor that Pocket wanted to bring. firing. He actually dropped the Alolan Ninetales this game, maybe anticipating this Scizor in the lead. Stone Collection gonna throw a Night Slash here. Pocket probably gonna let it go as you can take one, but this matchup can get very dicey for Empoleon despite the fact that you double resist Bullet Punch.
And now he has the Galarian Moltres as well, but there was a swap out to a Fairy type for Stone Collection, has the Azumarill. Here comes the Protect Shield on the Drill Peck, throwing the Drill Peck just in case it got swapped into something else, I believe.
A lot of times we've seen that play from trainers where they throw the less efficient charge attack just in case there's a swap. We see Pocket employing the same strategy here. Stone Collection firing off a Night Slash, and this one would threaten the knockout on Empoleon, so Pocket is going to use his first shield.
And this Empoleon is double resisting the Bullet Punch. It's just the exact opposite of what that Alolan Ninetales was doing. Gets the protection from Stone Collection. Looks like both these trainers really want alignment in the back.
They really want alignment, but also both of these Pokemon are so high octane, it's kind of hard to deal with if you let your lead Pokemon go down. This is a great catch from Pocket, though, taking the resisted Night Slash on Moltres while preserving the Empoleon.
And no boost there, trying to get a Sucker Punch down, but can you bank a Night Slash? Looks like Stone Collection's going to try to bank that Night Slash, swap into the Azumarill. That is key. How many times have we seen that in the past where he's able to bank a charge attack on a Pokemon before swapping out? Here comes, I believe the fly here was not the Brave Bird.
Yeah, great play from Stone Collection, and I think he also swapped at the perfect time.
Oh, it was Brave Bird!
It was Brave Bird, but I think he's going to be able to knock out the Moltres before it can reach a second attack, so great heads-up timing there by Stone Collection on the swap.
But doing a huge chunk into the Azumarill here, the Moltres does get knocked out, and in the back is that Licky Licky. There is a one Protect Shield advantage, but with this Licky Licky needs to do a lot. You can't take a charge attack from this Azumarill. Do we see the swap on the Ice Beam? No, there was no swap attempt.
And Pocket not very afraid of the energy from Azumarill. It is going to chip the Licky Licky just a little bit, though. I don't think he's seen the Corviknight, but again, I think he does still have a little bit of energy on Empoleon that could serve him well, as Stone Collection doesn't have any shields up.
And there is that Night Slash looming for the Scizor of Stone Collection. Undercharged, trying to get a rollout down. Here comes the Corviknight instead, has a Shadow Ball energy, has that Empoleon, but it's going to be so hard to swap on an attack. Your best guess is probably to swap on a Scizor combo play.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. Stone Collection still locked in here. I mean, Pocket, okay, hang on. Pocket is gonna go for a Body Slam here. He didn't go for the Shadow Ball. I'm wondering if he has the Empoleon's Hydro Cannon already banked. This is going to give him the opportunity to get that zero turn swap, and there you see the Hydro Cannon.
And is this enough, though, to knock out the Corviknight? I love that play from out of pocket, but the Corviknight still has some health left, and it's gonna be almost knocked out, but gets to the Air Cutter. This isn't terrible for out of pocket here. It's gonna be able to knock out the Empoleon. There's one protection remaining. Does he give it up? No, he lets it go. It's all Licky Licky. Can he knock out all three Pokemon? One rollout knocks out the Corviknight. You have to use the Protect Shield on this Scizor. Here comes the Scizor. Here comes the Night Slash. The greedy play to try to go for the extra Bullet Punch. And now the full sweep from the Licky Licky.
Licky Licky able to just roll out everything down there. He doesn't even need the bubbles on this Body Slam, as Azumarill is just at 1 or 2 HP there. And Pocket evening up the series, taking it to 1-1.
Ooh, what a display from out of pocket there with the Licky Licky. You don't often see a Pokemon like that get a full sweep, but because Stone Collection likes to keep the Pokemon very low health with a charge attack banked, he was able to have that Protect Shield advantage in the back and finish things up. That was very well played from out of pocket.
Exactly, and he's just recognizing what he needs to finish the game, right? He didn't try to commit to 2 Shadow Balls with Licky Licky versus Corviknight. He recognized, hey, you know what? If I get Shadow Ball, Body Slam, and Hydro Cannon, even if that doesn't actually knock out the Corviknight, that's still putting it low enough that my Licky Licky can sweep.
And Licky Licky is one of the most neutral Pokemon in the meta, but it is very neutral in the Stone Collection's team. So if out of pocket wants to rely on this the rest of the series, I would not blame him. Looks like these trainers are actually locked in to game number 3. This is a best of 5 here. We got the Shadow Scizor into the Alolan Ninetales. Get out of there, Pocket! And he swaps into Licky Licky.
I think he heard you. He's bringing the Licky Licky, trying to neutralize this Scizor, and Stone Collection throwing the Night Slash. I believe he did 6 Bullet Punches, but this is going to put the Licky Licky so low and give Stone Collection a ton of freedom in terms of where he wants to go next. It looks like it's the Unova Stunfisk.
And he's going to maintain the alignment because he's going to be able to take this Body Slam, and there's no way that Licky Licky is going to be able to power through the bulk of the Stunfisk. So maintaining that Shadow Scizor into the Alolan Ninetales, I don't know how out of pocket is ever going to get out of this matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, especially against a player as good as Stonecollection. If they have a hard alignment like that, it can be really hard to come back from. But let's see what Pocket has in store for us. Shadow Ball connects, and Stonecollection going to farm up probably the maximum amount of energy before knocking out the Licky Licky.
The timer was almost up there. The timers were really desync, but unfortunately was not able to swap on this Mud Bomb. And now you probably come in with this lone Ninetales, try to get a farm down, and there comes the Mud Bomb. You're going to have to take 2 Mud Bombs. So to get the farm down, you're going to have to take a lot of damage. All that damage is going to be resisted into the Shadow Scizor. Do we see a pivot into Corviknight? No pivot in the Scizor. He landed 1 bullet punch and then swap into the Empoleon.
Oh, but this could be a potential window of opportunity for Pocket. Yes, you are behind a little bit on energy there. No Metal Sound through. But now your Alolan Ninetales has a tiny sliver of hope as it will be matched up against the Corviknight later.
But at least you do Protect Shield on that Trailblaze. And remember, these bullet punches are double resisted into the water steel typing of the Empoleon. Suddenly, these Metal Sounds that are single resisted are starting to add up against the Scizor. If you double shield through this matchup, maybe it's not over for Out of Pocket.
Tiny sliver of hope here for Out of Pocket as he shields up the Night Slash. I think the Scizor might actually outpace to the next charge attack as Pocket is going to have to give up a turn here when he throws the Hydro Cannon. Let's see if Stonecollection wants to put another shield on the Scizor, and he does. What is Pocket going to do when the Scizor reaches a charge attack?
Is he going to try to swap on this Night Slash and resist it onto the Alolan Ninetales? That might be his only opportunity, and he goes for it, but he's shaking his head knowing that even though this is resisted, he is just going to get destroyed by the next bullet punch that comes through. Here comes 1 bullet punch, 2 bullet punch. That Alolan Ninetales is out of there.
And 3 Pokemon still remaining for Stonecollection. Empoleon does have a charge attack. He actually gets the full farm down, but Stonecollection still has 1.5 full Pokemon here as Unova and Stunfisk is going to go down. And I think Stonecollection should be able to hang on through 2 Hydro Cannons on his Corviknight to take the game.
That's the problem for Out of Pocket. He's going to need more than double Hydro Cannon here, and he just doesn't have time because the Air Cutter is almost available, and Stonecollection is going to reach it and take a 2-to-1 advantage in this series.
That's right, Pocket, terrible lead, maybe had a little bit of play later on, but really wasn't a clear win condition to come back from, even with Stonecollection giving up switch advantage. He just had way too much of a health advantage.
A pretty dominant win, almost a 2v3 versus Out of Pocket, and now he is 1 game away from reaching the grand finals. And did they just become good friends?
Ultra friends, not quite best friends, but you know, they're getting there. Maybe if they play at a couple more tournaments, they will eventually reach best friends, maybe even forever friends, who knows?
Yeah, one day they might be forever friends, but for now, Out of Pocket needs to try to bounce back in this series. And do you just sit the Alolan Ninetales altogether? Because the times that he brought the Alolan Ninetales in game number 1 and game number 3, he just didn't get any advantage. He only had the advantage with the Licky Licky, and no, he's not sitting it. He's bringing it in the lead in game number 4 and picking up an advantage. Swap into Scizor, instant swap out of there, but the bullet punch did register.
It did register, so that did quite a bit of health on the Alolan Ninetales already. Stonecollection really seems to enjoy trying to snipe the Alolan Ninetales with his Scizor, even happy to just get 1 bullet punch off, even if it means bringing in the Scizor to a potentially disadvantageous matchup later.
And now the Hydro Cannon is going to get Protect Shielded. I don't know if Stonecollection is going to be able to get through this matchup now that a Night Slash went through. I think you can farm down if you land a Trailblaze, but if you land a Night Slash, I don't think you can farm down as the Shadow Scizor.
I agree with you, unless the Scizor gets a boost, which it doesn't look like it did. So Out of Pocket should still be able to win this matchup.
It gets the next Protect Shield from Stonecollection, and he can get back to his timer soon, and he's at his timer right now. Doesn't want to swap here, wants to get the last Protect Shield, but he's not going to be able to win the alignment. Does he get the Protect Shield and then try to maintain a little health on this Scizor and swap into his Azumarill?
I think he might do that. Let's see, Hydro Cannon gonna land on the Scizor. Looks like Pocket is going to be able to maintain switch advantage, and that means he's going to be able to get his Alolan Ninetales onto the Unova and Stunfisk instead of the Azumarill, so that could be really great for Out of Pocket if he maintains alignment, which it looks like he will as he lets the Empoleon go down.
And Stonecollection just kind of shrugs. It's not exactly what he was looking for, but if he can keep going back and forth with this Stunfisk, maybe he can get some advantage here. The Mud Bomb is going to land, and maybe you're going to try to swap on a Weather Ball. No, actually, instant swapping into the Azumarill. You actually had the opportunity to maybe bank up some energy, but instead counter swapping into the Licky Licky.
And I think this is one of those situations where you don't actually need to win the matchup. You just kind of need to get the opposing Pokemon low. That's the position that Pocket is in, right? Licky Licky it has a decent matchup versus Azumarill, but because Alolan Ninetales has such a great matchup versus Unova and Stunfisk in the back, I think you just need to get this Azumarill low enough that your other Pokemon can kind of handle it.
And also, maybe you didn't want to fully desync the timers too. You just wanted to keep them on the same pace. As the Shadow Ball does land, doesn't do that much into the Azumarill's bulk here. You probably want to throw this next Shadow Ball before the Play Rough is available. There it is. It was not on charge attack priority as these timers are getting closer and closer to being available.
That's right, not too far away, just a couple of seconds as Stone Collection's clock is already up. He throws the Play Rough at Licky Licky. I think Licky Licky might actually be able to hang on here. We'll have to see, but it looks like Pocket is going to be able to fire off the Body Slam. Oh, but it actually lands onto the Stunfisk.
It does land into the Stunfisk, catching it there. Maybe a little bit of advantage for Stone Collection, but it's going to unleash this Alolan Ninetales with that super effective Weather Ball, but it's getting closer and closer to range of Mud Bomb, throwing a charge attack priority. This is super effective, but Stunfisk is very bulky. Is this enough?
I don't think it's enough, but is the Powder Snows afterward going to be enough to take Pocket to a Dazzling Gleam against the Azumarill? That's the real question here, because I'm pretty sure Alolan Ninetales is going to be able to hang on. Pocket is nodding. I don't know if he's nodding because he thinks it's good or it's bad, but he's going to go for a big Powder Snow down here. Going to need a Dazzling Gleam versus the Azu.
He just needs to get the one more Powder Snow. He needs to take one bubble. No problem for the Alolan Ninetales, and OutOfPoket is able to tie up this series.
2-2 here. We're going to be headed into a decisive game number 5 as Pocket finishes the game with his signature Alolan Ninetales.
Well, this is fitting. This is what it's felt like all day in day number 2 in Seattle. All of these matchups have been incredibly close, especially in the in-game. OutOfPoket is able to secure that matchup. Of course, he had that awesome alignment throughout the battle, and his Stone Collection tried to save off the Scizor, but by going for the Night Slash instead of the Trailblaze, he just couldn't take the alignment. Once he didn't have the alignment, there was no real win condition.
And Shadow Scizor has been such an oppressive Pokemon this season in terms of its fast attack pressure, but this is one of those situations where it's easy to overestimate it, right? Looks kind of safe into OutOfPoket's team as a safe switch, but if your Pocket, reacting really quickly and making sure your Empoleon gets on it, I think it's a pretty clean situation for you to be able to neutralize the Scizor.
Here we go! Grand Finals is on the line! It's 2-2! We got the Galarian Moltres into the Stunfisk. That's a bad lead for OutOfPoket, but he's not swapping out because he's ABA weak to this Stunfisk.
He's got the Empoleon in the back, maybe a bad team read for OutOfPoket, but let's see what he has cooked up. There's no way he ran this team not thinking about Stunfisk. It looks like he's going to bank some energy. Hard switch into the Kanto Marowak, but Stone Collection having all the reads brings in the Azumarill.
Yeah, that's a great counter swap to be able to counter this Kanto Marowak. You can 2-shield through it, but I don't think that would help you that much for OutOfPoket. I think your best win condition is the Empoleon in the back. How can you get this Azumarill in a vulnerable position to try to farm it down? Here comes the Ice Beam. No protection from OutOfPoket. I think you want to get into Empoleon as soon as possible. You want to get this Marowak out of here and then jump into the battle with your Empoleon.
All right, a last second Rock Slide here for Marowak, and let's see if Pocket is able to fully utilize his Empoleon. I think he actually Sucker Punched the Unovan Stunfisk kind of close to Hydro Cannon range. That could have been what he was looking for, and Stone Collection's clock isn't up yet. This is all part of Pocket's plan as he's going to get a massive farm down.
You see Pocket instantly going in there, trying to catch the Drill Peck into the Stunfisk. Instead, it's going to be a super effective Hydro Cannon. Stone Collection's knowing this is the strongest Pokemon in the back versus his team, gives up the Protect Shield, and now suddenly also this Moltres is going to be facing the Scizor, and that's a much better matchup for Pocket. I think this is much more even now.
Pocket has somehow climbed into an advantageous position. All of those metal sounds really adding up as he pulls a shield from Stone Collection, instantly shielding this Empoleon. Like you said, this is the most important Pokemon on the battlefield.
But you gotta get through the Stunfisk, and how do you do it? There is no Protect Shield remaining, and there is no timer. You gotta get to this Hydro Cannon, but first, there is the last discharge into this Empoleon and using the last Protect Shield of the battle. But Stone Collection, now he has his timer available.
Exactly, this could come down to a catch. Let's see what Stone Collection decides to do. He's tapping close to the Azumarill, not quite tapping it though, and Hydro Cannon is going to knock out Stunfisk.
It did not throw on Charge Attack priority, maybe afraid that there would be a swap on Charge Attack priority. I think that's what Stone Collection was going for. Now suddenly, how much energy does the Scizor have, and where is it going to go into? Both of these Pokemon are vulnerable. There's no energy on Scizor. It was actually energy dry, and now the Hydro Cannon is coming through into Scizor. Can it endure one single Hydro Cannon?
I don't think so. I think Pocket might have this Hydro Cannon gonna land. Scizor actually does hang on, but Pocket not gonna take any chances, bringing in the Moltres, but Stone Collection brings in the Azumarill.
Oh, and OutOfPoket shakes his head a little bit as this Ice Beam knocks out the Moltres. There is a little bit of health with the Empoleon, and that little bit of health is maybe not enough if there's energy on this Scizor, and Stonecollection reaches for it, and he gets the Night Slash, and he will be moving on to the Grand Finals.
Incredible game number 5. It was just going back and forth. A terrible, terrible lead for OutOfPoket, but he did his best there as Stonecollection surpasses his performance in Toronto. This is his best performance all season long, advancing to the top 2.